Joining us right now is the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, Congressman Jeb Hensarling of Texas. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
No, Marie, anytime. Thanks.
And of course, you're a border town. While House leadership is scrambling to get the votes on this immigration bill, the president says it should wait until November. Do you support that move?
Well, to me, there's never a bad time to try to improve our border security. Frankly, I'd like to hold the Senate accountable. You can never underestimate their capacity to do nothing, but I think it would be somewhat clarifying. So I'm sorry that the Goodlatte-McCall bill didn't quite make it yesterday. I know negotiations are taking place. Big legislation takes a long time. I've been here long enough to know that. Sometimes it takes multiple Congresses like this, but the bottom line is illegal immigration continues to be a huge threat to our national security and our economic security and the rule of law. And we need to get even more coalesced and unified around a position. So, listen, I'll let the Speaker and the President work out the timing, but we need to get this done.
You know, Congresswoman Tenney was just on the show, and she said that there is definitely bipartisan interest in getting something done right now, despite the fact that they were seeing there's nothing but resist on the side of the Democrats and the media. Are you having conversations across the aisle and saying, look, we want to make a deal here and get something done for the American people?
Well, I'm personally working on capital markets legislation myself as chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. So I must admit, in the Democrats that I talk to, I'm not seeing a lot of interest. I mean, let's face it, in January, the president put a very generous offer on the table to deal with even more dreamers than the Democrats had even brought to the table. And that was rejected. I fear that particularly the Democrat leadership is more interested in exploiting the problem than they are solving the problem. Now, there may be individual Democrats talking to either Chairman Goodlatte or Chairman McCall. They're not talking to me.
Congressman, have you had any communication with the administration on how they're handling or following through on the president's executive order to keep families together when they illegally try to cross the border? Because certainly there's a lot of confusion between the different agencies, whether it's the Department of Defense, Health and Human Services, who is responsible for taking care of young migrants who cross the border. Again, it's even an issue of how fast can the government find facilities to house these families. Can you give us an update on that? Because with a Republican in the White House, ultimately the blame also falls on you, the Republicans in Congress.
Well, I personally haven't spoken to the administration about this, but as a member of Congress from Texas, I've been to the border many times. I have visited these detention facilities, and I must admit, listen, the people who are in our Border Patrol and in immigration and customs, I mean, these are some of the finest government workers you will find, and they're doing everything they can in a bad situation to treat these people humanely. So the president does have a conundrum. Number one, he's actually trying to enforce the law. I mean, illegal immigration is illegal.
Exactly.
And then you have this Flores decision dating back from 20 years ago that says that you cannot detain these children for more than 20 days. So part of the answer is more judges, administrative law judges, to handle these claims of asylum. And it's certainly more, frankly, emergency appropriations to deal with facilities. The facilities have to be enlarged. We need more of them. But ultimately, we want people coming to America the legal way. We want them to roll up their sleeves, work hard, be economic assets. I mean, listen, America's a nation of immigrants. We just need it to be legal immigrants, and we need people, again, to be economic assets, not economic liabilities. And the administration has a challenge. I don't know the details, but I know we have a lot of great men and women in the Border Patrol and in ICE, and I think they can handle the situation.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. What do your colleagues on the left say when you say that? I mean, we want immigration, but we want legal immigration.
Well, again, I'm fear they wish to exploit a situation more than they care to solve a situation. And I fear that, frankly, many of them do want a concept of open borders. And I think that they want a bunch of people to come here and get dependent upon government services and give them their vote. I mean, that's kind of the cynic in me seeing this, but I've had enough conversations with a number of them to rightfully conclude that is at least what is motivating some. Otherwise, they would have taken the president's very generous offer. Again, where the president was, his position, a very generous offer, was even willing to give Democrats things they didn't ask for, and all he got was the Heisman.